Anyway, that's it for me. If you're inspired, hit the like button and subscribe for more Monthly Madness. Well, if you did, I'll see you next month. Well, that's been a long month. What a crazy year this has been. And if you ask yourself why I haven't uploaded for the last months, that's because, yeah, I was kind of affected by the misfortune that 2020 has brought. I didn't have corona though. Thought I'd say that at that point. Anyway, I thought it would be cool to take a look back on the year 2020 and how it all started. In particular, I want to rewatch. In particular, I want to rewatch a film that I've made in the beginning of this year. In particular, I want to rewatch a film that I've made in the beginning of this year and the beginning of the whole pandemic corona situation, with the name of Pandemic Living. Because I just think over the course of the time that has passed since I made this film in the beginning of everything, I think my view might have changed a little bit, and I haven't really rewatched, and I haven't really watched the film for pretty much over half a year now. So yeah, let's dive in to it, shall we? All right, for that, I'm taking these headphones right here. Start recording. Before we start, I might tell you kind of the backstory of this whole film, how this project started. So I was in Lübeck last year in Nordic Film Days. It is a film festival where we, the young Nordic filmmakers, make a film in 1 week. And yeah, we did that and it was cool and everything. It was my second time there. I even made a video about that. Yeah, there should have been a second part to it in Tromsø, in the north of Norway, North Pole actually. And I was really excited about that, and I even bought a thick winter jacket and huge boots to hike in Norway, but it never happened because of Corona. So yeah, this whole team, this whole international team, we were all sitting at home, kind of sad that we couldn't go there. But yeah, we decided on making a video or a film anyway. We didn't just want to sit home and do nothing. We wanted to work on a project together. And yeah, even though all of us just like were sitting somewhere in the world in different countries, and we couldn't travel at all, yeah, we still made this film, and I think still it turned out pretty cool. But yeah, as I said, maybe my view has changed by now, but let's find out. So it was uploaded on the 7th of April this year, and we can watch it right now. Let's go. Early 2020, COVID-19 caused a worldwide pandemic. We're all in this together. And you've probably heard that before, but I mean, it really is true. It's like these apocalyptic movies, just that this is not as exciting. It's still horrible though. There's one part that makes it so surreal is that we're all affected by this equally. From the teacher to his student, from the homeless person on the street to the businessman in his loft. Okay, this already is true to some point, but I kind of looked at it differently by now, because yes, we are all affected by the pandemic, we can all get sick by it equally, but I don't think that we are all affected by it equally, because there are people that go about their daily life just as they would normally do, and there are people that really struggle. When I watch the news, I see that the focus is laid on people going shopping and complaining about, oh, I can't go shopping, I can't buy a Christmas present, I can't gather like 100 friends on Christmas. But then on the other hand, there are people that are really affected by this pandemic in their existence. I would say that yes, we're all affected by it, but we're not affected by it equally.
It's been pretty interesting to see how different countries have reacted differently to the pandemic, and I definitely think the UK is one of the slowest ones to react.
Which is funny because now the UK was the first country to have a person vaccinated.
If only we went into like proper lockdown earlier, you know, the rise in deaths and people who've caught the disease would definitely have been much less.
Definitely true. And still true. I feel like we haven't learned from the first wave that much. Still think we are reacting quite slow.
Our country has been on lockdown for 12 days, and the government just extended that for 2 more weeks.
There's pretty much nothing open right now except like essential stores, and only a few days ago.
Yeah, now it's just the same again, in Germany at least.
A southern part of Finland was closed, or had its borders closed, which is probably the most extreme action so far.
Really, the only difference between countries these days is how they handle the situation. And here in Germany, we can still go outside, but we can't meet with more than one person at a time, and also almost everything is shut down, so there are not many reasons to leave the house. Okay, this is interesting because back then we couldn't meet with more than one person, but now we can actually meet with up to 10 people from 2 households. So yeah, even though we have way more cases than back then.
Remember that, won't you? Don't be so gloomy.
Definitely watching a lot of films right now. I write down everything I need to do on this timeline to see my deadlines, because our teachers give us quite some tasks to do over the internet. And so far I haven't been bored at all because there's so much stuff to do, but yeah, something like that is really good. Still kind of do that, but now everything I do is digital. I got an iPad, very helpful, especially in these times where now, to have everything digitalized. There's one thing that I really like. For school I wake up at 6:30 every morning and I'm always tired. Sometimes I just can't concentrate. Now we get our tasks via the internet and can decide on our own when we want to do them. My concentration levels are really high. It has changed. We were in school for a long time. They've tried to keep the schools open as long as possible, even though we had some cases. For the last weeks, I've got vacation right now, but for the week before vacation, we had homeschooling again. And yeah, they've had this whole new concept. Before, the teachers would just throw out some tasks we had to do, and it was very unstructured. But now we have to log in at a certain time in the morning, so yeah, it's actually like having school with the regular time, but just that now everything is from home. And yeah, concentration levels, I don't know, that has changed. Gotta change the battery as well, so excuse me for a moment. There are so many people jogging, walking. I guess all of us need some fresh air at least once a day. But sometimes it just really is impossible to keep a distance of 1.5 meters, even though it's a law now. True. But it's really nice to feel some fresh air when you sat inside the whole day, especially now everything only works over screens. Working, meeting friends, relaxing by watching a film, or for me, editing. Breaking Bad, best series ever made. Was binging that in the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah, if you haven't watched it yet and you're isolated in home, if you're self-quarantining or anything like that, and you've got Netflix, watch Breaking Bad. Just do it, alright? Watch it till the end, because otherwise you haven't watched Breaking Bad. As my mother still needs to go to work, I'm alone almost the whole day. So, as I have so much stuff to do, I don't get bored, but sometimes I feel quite lonely. I try to prevent this by listening, sometimes even making music, watching videos and FaceTiming with friends. But none of that helps when I miss my girlfriend, even though we communicate every day. Here in Germany, couples are still allowed to visit each other, so we can meet. We try to keep it at a minimum, but it really helps passing these times. Alright, to be honest, we didn't keep it at a minimum that much. We met very often. But yeah, that changed as well, because actually she broke up with me like more than 2 months ago. That wasn't great. I wasn't really knowing what loneliness was back then when I was talking about it. But yeah, the last 2 months I was feeling as lonely as I never felt before. School kept me up and running, not because I liked it, but because we had so many exams. And yeah, now that we have vacation, doing films, making art, try to stay fit, is the thing I'm trying to hold on to keep motivation, to keep energy. That's really important. I
would always go to my friends' places. I'd spend half the week outside of home, always going out every day. So it does suck to be stuck inside. But it's not too bad. I'm used to it. You know, I don't go to university, so I'm used to being by myself and just sort of being with my mind and just sitting in a room, and you know, it's kind of, that's what I'm used to.
Well, what the fella said. In Italy, for 30 years under the Borgias, they had warfare, terror, murder, and bloodshed, but they produced Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Renaissance. In Switzerland, they had brotherly love. They had 500 years of democracy and peace, and what did that produce? The cuckoo clock.
Okay, many people didn't understand why I put this in there, but I think it kind of complemented the statement that Oscar said before, that having this much time sitting alone with your mind, this kind of is a connection to this scene from this old movie, because what he's basically saying is, in the countries where there were so many issues, they produced amazing stuff that is really important for history, and in the countries where there were no issues at all, they just produced the cuckoo's clock. So basically what that means, if you draw the connection to this pandemic, is, yeah, we have those issues, we have problems right now, but this can lead to great inventions, great milestones, maybe.
I think it'll be very interesting to see how the pandemic affects the future of the world as well. I mean, if you think about the school system, sports, all like, you know, the football, it's all been paused. So I'm very, very fascinated to see how they're going to resume after all this is finished. You know, if the school years, you know, if it's going to cause an effect down the line where everything's been disrupted and maybe everything's shifted now.
I think that it doesn't look like that. I think the most important thing right now is the commercial aspect, and the schools were also really important, so it didn't really cause a gap there. It's not really the time that's lost, it's more the money that people lost in that time.
The pandemic has been very, very good for the environment, because if you think about it, so little people are driving their cars, and planes have been severely disrupted, and so I think it's almost like a breath of fresh air for the Earth.
Yeah, it was a breath of fresh air for the Earth. But yeah, I kind of don't think anymore that this will lead to people looking at climate change differently and acting more drastically about climate change, especially because the pandemic is in a way higher focus now. So yeah, maybe if the pandemic is over, maybe then we can take a look on climate change. But also then I think a bigger problem that people might see just going back to normal. I think this will take a long time, and I think that climate change just got pushed back by the pandemic actually. Humankind is used to fight over each other. There would be no countries, no borders without war. The virus doesn't know borders, neither does climate change. So maybe it is time to forget them for a second. Yeah, I still stand to this statement I threw in at the end. I think forgetting borders is the best thing we could maybe do right now, but I don't think that will happen as soon. So this is kind of a dilemma. It hasn't changed that much. I still feel like even though my view has changed a little bit, that's just the mentality of people, but how Corona is affecting us, how we're reacting to it, I think is still quite similar. I hope for 2021 to be a better year, but I think that's not a huge challenge for 2021 to be better than this year. I think we should close Monthly Madness right here, because it began in 2020 and it should end in 2020, so we can close this chapter. That doesn't mean though that I will stop making videos. No, some amazing videos will come on this channel. It won't be as regular. I won't probably upload every month anymore because I've got to finish school right now. The only way for you not to miss any of that is subscribing to this channel. You should do that. So you will see the most amazing content on this platform, alright? Alright. Anyway, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more madness, and I will see you next year. This is it, 2020 is over, alright? Alrighty then. And I will see you next month. Next year. I will see you next year.